Podcast number 45 together with Marcel Lamers from Lone Rooftop.
Good morning.
He's one of the founders. Good morning, Marcel. And we're doing this again, of course, on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Spotify, but also on YouTube. So the audience that is viewing, we can say hello to them.
Hello.
As well. But let's start with the first question, Marcel. What can you tell about yourself? What did you do before you started Lone Rooftop?
So I'm 32 years old, and before I started my career, I studied in Driebergen at the IVA, which is basically a business school for the automotive sector. And I thought I wanted to do something in the automotive sector. But once I started the study, I realized that's not where I really want to be working at. So after that, I decided to study marketing, which I did in the US. Because still I didn't know in what field I wanted to end up. But marketing is broad enough. You can apply it on basically every field. So I thought, okay, that at least gives me some opportunity to discover what I want.
Yeah. Why did you go to the US?
Well, several reasons. For some reason, the US always triggered me, and I always wanted to visit it. So when you're a student and you get the opportunity to study there, why not combine those things?
Yeah.
And the IVA, where I used to study, they had a good relationship with this business school in the US. And therefore, there was an interesting package that I could do, which allowed me to complete the study within a year and a half.
Wow.
So it saved me a lot of time as well doing that.
Yeah, and having some fun in America as well.
That's very important as well.
Yeah. So after your study, what decided you to do? To go to the automotive industry again, or to do something in marketing?
Yeah, so I decided to do something in marketing. So I came back to Ede, where I grew up, and I realized after being in the US, there's a lot more to see in the world. And I didn't know where I wanted to go.
Ede is like a big city in the Netherlands.
It's a huge city, yeah.
It's small.
So yeah, it's quite small. And I knew I wanted something different. I wanted something else. And so I decided to move to Amsterdam. And one of the reasons to do that is because first I wanted some more international environments, because after being in the US, I started to learn a lot about different cultures and met different people from around the world, which was very inspiring. And so I wanted to continue that, and I hope to find that in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
So that was the first one. And then second one, I realized there's a lot more opportunities for careers in Amsterdam compared to Ede.
Yeah.
So I moved to Amsterdam, started working for this marketing company, and they had technology companies as their clients. And that's when I got really interested in this technology. And from there on, I realized that was a field that I wanted to be working in.
Okay.
So
autos are...
So I don't know much about automotive anymore.
It's about technology.
Exactly, yeah. So... So what I did, I used to work there as a marketeer, realized I wanted to do more in technology, started to learn more about technology, and did a study as well, an online course, and learned about product management specifically because I knew I would never be a good developer. So I decided that I shouldn't try to become one. But being part of a product development process was something that I really admired doing. So after I quit my job as a marketeer, started working somewhere else where I could basically combine marketing with some product management aspects. And I did this study. And after I completed the study, I started working as a product manager at Hives, which for the Dutch listeners and viewers should be a name they recognize.
Yeah, that should be well known.
Yeah.
For a lot of people.
For a lot of people.
How many Dutch people were on Hives?
So I think at their peak, they had about 10 million active users. And
so that's everybody except the babies and the really elderly people.
Exactly. That's like 2/3 of the country was a user of Hives.
So what was Hives? Can you explain us? Because I think not everybody knows what Hives was.
Yeah. So Hives was a social network platform, can be compared to Facebook, and it was really focused on the Dutch market. I think that's already a good summary. It's a Dutch Facebook.
Dutch Facebook, yeah. So what did you do at Hives?
So I was a product manager. That means I was working with the development team, and we were basically developing the new features on the platform, looking at data on how users were interacting with the platform, and basically make decisions based on that data on how to improve the platform and create more usage and interaction between the people on the platform.
Cool. And after Hives, you went to Lone Rooftop?
Yeah, yeah.
So you became an entrepreneur. So you had a couple of jobs, and after that, what was the moment that you decided, well, I can do this by myself and create like my own company?
Yeah. So when I quit my job at Hives, there was one thing that I missed doing as a product manager, which was doing a product discovery, which means, in my opinion, to find a problem for a large enough target audience and a problem that's worth solving.
Yeah.
So I wanted to find a problem that there was no solution for yet. And then through my former employer, I got in touch with the real estate managers and facility managers of some of the larger companies here in the Netherlands. And I interviewed them, and I was looking for this problem. And I found out that all of these real estate managers are responsible for managing the building, but they have no idea on how the building is actually being used. And for me, as a product manager coming from the online world, that was very odd, because at Hives, I knew exactly how many people were visiting the website, what pages did they visit, how long did they stay there, because I was using Google Analytics.
Yeah.
And therefore, I thought there's a lot of similarity between buildings and websites, but instead of like a physical building, you have a digital website, and instead of a web page or chat room that you visit in a building, that is the workspace or the meeting room or the restaurant.
Okay, cool. Yeah, nice comparison. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So, but what they were missing was this Google Analytics for buildings. And that's how the idea came into existence. And after interviewing more and more real estate managers, I realized that all of them have the same problem. And this was leading to a lot of inefficiency in these buildings. And what we now see, based on the data that we have, is that even at the peak, a building is utilized for only 70%, which means 30% of the space is empty at all times.
Even at the most busiest times.
Even at the busiest times.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Yeah. So we will go into that later, I think. But tell us more about your start at Lone Rooftop, because you started by interviewing people, but then you need to build a team. You need to find people that can build a solution also. How did it go?
Yeah, so this was in 2014.
When was it? Yeah, 2014.
Yeah, 2014.
So it's 5 years ago.
Yeah, so the 25th or 26th, oh, this is bad that I don't know the exact date, 25th or 26th, we're celebrating our 5-year anniversary.
In
July.
In
August, sorry, in August, yeah.
Okay, cool, yeah.
So yeah, we founded the company almost 5 years ago. So in 2014, once I realized that there was a market for this potential product that we had in mind, I contacted Jeroen, who is one of the co-founders. He is a good friend of mine as well. And I used to work with him at Hives. And so I reached out to him, and I told him what I was doing, and he already knew about it, because every now and then, of course, we drank a beer, and then you discuss the things that you do in life. So he already knew about what I was doing. I told him that there were a lot of interested companies in this idea, but to make the next step, we should build something. And he's very good at visualizing complex data and making it an appealing product. So it was a very logical decision for me to ask him to join the company, and we both decided basically to found this company together from that moment on, and build a prototype. Or actually, we started with some mock-ups first, but then build a prototype and try to convince more people that we were capable of delivering a solution that would help them solve their problems. So that was the first step. And then a few months later, Reinoud joined as the third co-founder. He also used to work at Hives, was there responsible for developing the backend. And we realized that it was a very tech-heavy product that we wanted to create. So we needed someone who was capable of doing that. And that's when we asked Reinoud, and he joined the company a few months after we founded it.
Wow, cool. And then you have like you have your big problem, you have your team, you have your mock-ups, and you have your first your first prototype. You go to the market. What happened?
Yeah, so
They said, "Oh, well, we want to buy this," or did they? How did it go? Because real estate in those years, it was like PropTech was not used, was not common.
No, we were very early in the field.
You were really early, yeah.
Yeah. So I think so. We have two launching customers that we're very very happy with, and they were actually fundamental for the existence of our company. But both of them believed in our vision very much, and they both of them offered us the opportunity to build our product within their environment, so we could start learning like what type of insights can these type of data generate.
Yeah.
So basically, they wanted to be our client and the launching customer for this product, which allowed us to start building it and have some financial income.
Yeah. You need that.
Yeah, you need that. You need some runway to start building this. So we did. And from there on, we got the first results and we expanded within these clients. And I think that was when we were even sitting in the office of one of our clients. So none of us came from a corporate environment, and this product is mainly focused on the corporate market and higher education.
Yeah.
So what we did was we were actually literally sitting in the office of our client, where we started to learn like how do people interact with the office environment, and what do we see in our data, and how does that respond to the real environment.
Oh,
and
really?
From there on, we started to
so you learned really fast.
We did. We learned very, very fast, and some of the learnings that we got from there are still very visible in the product today. So it was a very important phase of the company to constantly validate what you are doing and see if you achieve the results that you have in mind.
And now, 5 years later, what happened?
5 years later, yeah. So what happened?
3 co-founders, 2?
3 co-founders. We're a team of 25 people,
Wow.
Yeah. So what happened is that we are basically doing business in multiple countries at the moment, and we're rolling out our technology across Europe and even in the US now. So we've made quite some steps from there on, I think we are doing very big things with a very small team. It sounds a lot, or depending on how you look at it, but 25 people is not a lot of people if you look at the things that we do. So we even help organizations to decommission space and decommission entire buildings.
Tell us, what do you do?
Yeah. So what we do...
You come into like a big corporate organization, to the real estate, the people that are responsible for the real estate. And what do you do? How do you help them?
Yeah. So what we do is we always look at how can we help you. So we're not there to push our technology. We really want to understand what is the use case and what is the type of decision that you want to make that you cannot make now. And the reason why that's important is because that allows us to all be focused on achieving a result that will make the client successful. So what we do is all of our clients, obviously, otherwise they wouldn't reach out to us, they have some challenges with the utilization of the space that they have. What we do is we have a space utilization platform, which primarily uses existing data infrastructures that are already available in the building today. And we integrate those data sources, such as the Wi-Fi, for example. And from there on, we calculate the utilization of the building. So we know how many people are where at what moment in time. That's the core of what we do. And by doing so, we have always aimed to be highly scalable, because we want to help large organizations, large corporates, and universities. They have a lot of real estate.
But also like multiple real estate.
Multiple real estate as well, yeah. So we've always aimed to be highly scalable. That's the reason also why we use existing infrastructures. And what you see is that the type of insights that we can generate from there allows them to make decisions that they were not able to make before. And this can lead to what I just mentioned, decommission space, or have people find available workspace through our real-time application, for example. It basically offers a lot of opportunities to make the building more efficient, from many different angles.
So that's what you do for the real estate guys. But then when you when you implement your solution or your platform, people need to start using it.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah. So
if I come into a building, what do I need to? What is different than like an old-fashioned building than a Lone Rooftop building?
Yeah. So for you as a user of the building or a visitor of the building, you don't notice anything. So what happens is the way we measure is every mobile device sends out a signal. It does so every 40 to 60 seconds. And the reason why they do that is because they want to let the network know that they are available to communicate. For example, if you look at the Wi-Fi settings in your phone, what you will see is all the different networks that are available. And the reason you see those is because you are communicating with that network already.
Yeah.
You're not connected, but you are communicating. You let the network know you're there. So that specific signal is what we use for the calculations in order to generate the utilization of the building. So you, as the user or visitor of the building, you don't notice anything. And all your data is being anonymized because we don't care about who is there. We only want to know how many people are there.
Yeah.
So you don't really notice anything, except for the fact that we have several applications that we offer to the users of the building. For example, a screen on the wall that tells you to what floor you can go, how utilized are all the floors in
Okay,
real
you
time.
can just see when you are in the elevator or at the stairs, like which floor is space available.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we have a mobile application that's a bit more advanced than that. It basically tells you, it knows like what is your favorite zone or favorite area in the building to go to, because you can favorite them.
Yeah.
And then it tells you, oh, there is between 50 and 20 spaces available now. And within the next hours, we expect it to be very occupied, or it will be quiet, because we have a prediction engine basically that informs you on how occupied will the space be within the next hours.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, but now you told a little bit about the data, about how you aggregate the data. Now, it's a lot of questions are being asked from GDPR standpoint. How you coping with that? How are you dealing with GDPR and OVG? Of how is it called?
AVG.
AVG. Yeah.
So what we I think from the beginning we've invested heavily in being like privacy by design. And also the reason for that is one of our launching customers, they are, it's a bank, and they are very strict with these type of things.
So that was lucky that you had a bank.
Exactly.
At the beginning.
So, but also very stressful because it was, this was in the first year after we founded the company. And then right before Christmas, I got a message and they said, well, the system that you're running within our bank, you have to shut it down now. And so this was right before Christmas, and I was like, okay, this is not what I wanted, not what I had in mind as a Christmas gift.
No.
So what was the case? The case was someone in the legal department saw that we were using signals coming from the Wi-Fi in order to calculate utilization. And there were some things in the news about Wi-Fi tracking, which is something different than what we do. But, it for people, and if you're not into the subject of using Wi-Fi as a data source, it may look very similar, but they thought we were tracking employees.
Yeah.
Which we were not, but still, it led to the point that we had to shut down the server. And we had to answer a bunch of questions, obviously, on how we were using the data. But it also made us very aware of how sensitive this topic is. And from there on, we invested in a piece of the technology that allows for getting the data from the network and then anonymize it, or technically speaking, in the first stage, we I really hate this word, pseudonymize.
Yeah.
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 Pseudonymiseren.
Yeah.
The data, and from there, before it gets sent to our cloud. So all the data that is related to people still stays within the organization, then gets anonymized, and that's what we use in the cloud.
Yeah.
So therefore, we are fully compliant with the GDPR. Also, we really see like privacy is a human right, so we take it very seriously. So therefore, we're always aimed at whatever we do, do we still believe that this is the best for the people that are involved in such measurements, etc.
Yeah.
So we always look at it very closely, and I think that's something all of our clients, they are big corporates or universities
I think
or
they demand
ministries.
these kind of statements from companies like you.
Exactly,
Yeah.
they demand it. So we always get, they do assessments. We get tested on many aspects of the technology, and obviously a lot of attention to the privacy component. And we always pass this. They always give us even compliments, like on how good we have solved this whole thing. And what we see in the US is that companies want to talk specifically with us because we are born in the GDPR environment.
Yeah.
And therefore
It's in the US a little bit different.
It is different, but even in the US, they take privacy very seriously because none of these companies there also want the information of the employees to be easily shared or used for purposes that are not good for the employees, or also
of sell data to thirdly parties.
Exactly.
Or something like that.
Yeah. And it's a very scary thing to be messing with data of people. So therefore, everyone is very conscious, and that's, I think, one of the reasons why they also want to talk to us, because they want to understand, how have you solved this? How do you deal with this type of technology, and then how do you deal with the privacy component of that? And it really helps that we have developed our technology in this GDPR environment
from the beginning on. From the beginning on,
privacy by design.
Is this also one of the lessons that you learned at Hives, or is this just like a new? Is this the bank that brought you into this kind of thing from the start of?
I think it's many aspects that came together. So obviously we learned things at Hives. Then obviously there's things that we personally believe in, some of the principles that we have ourselves. And of course, we learned a lot from the bank as well. And we started to understand how the world looks at this sensitive topic of privacy. So I think all these things together led to the point where we started to invest in securing the privacy aspect, and making sure that we have a product that
has a solution for this kind of issues.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's. But you have like an amazing platform, but I can imagine that selling a platform in the Netherlands, well, that's where you start. But then you need to find your different kind of countries and try to sell it over there. As I can imagine from your lessons of your learnings at Hives, it was really like a Dutch platform, really focusing on a niche market, and you were going globally. What can you tell us about that? Because I see a lot of PropTech companies in different kind of. It's not only for the Netherlands, but also from different kind of other countries, and they really focused on their own company or their own country. How do you cope with that?
Yeah,
because every country is different.
Every country is different. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, first of all, what really helps us is, and we still focus on the Netherlands because of that reason, and obviously because it's our own country, so we like to do, sell our product here. But what you see here is that the Netherlands is quite advanced and quite far ahead compared to the rest of the world, or compared to most countries in the world, when it comes to real estate management, facility management, and all the innovations in the in offices.
Yeah.
So this market really, we get to learn a lot from this market, and those learnings obviously we incorporate into our product development. And what we then see is that other countries that start to develop their ideas on how facility management, corporate real estate management should work, are starting to look at what type of solutions are there. And since we are a bit ahead of the world, they actually we get companies reach out to us. So we have had several instances where a large corporation basically reached out and said, "Hey, we heard about you guys. You are doing this and this, and that's something that we are now starting to do within our own company as well. So can we talk about that?" So that really helped us to already see that, hey, what we are doing here is interesting to the rest of the world as well. And I think within the domain that we're active in, so within this whole PropTech scene, we are really focused on the corporate real estate managers.
Yeah.
So that basically means the real estate manager within a corporate. So it's easy to identify that market. And since we've always aimed to be highly scalable, we also realized that there's many interesting companies here in the Netherlands. But since we have such a scalable platform, why should we limit ourselves to just our own home market and not, seek for opportunities abroad?
Yeah, but you're talking already also to the big companies in the Netherlands, and they always have how do you call it? They have always business in different kind of countries as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
So maybe you can go with them to different kind of countries or not.
Yeah, that's actually what occurred several times already. That we're doing business with this one company, but they have buildings in several countries.
Yeah.
So that really helps us to go internationally already. And once we have done the deployment of our technology in such country, it makes sense to look what other companies are based there to see if we can expand our product to that market as well.
Yeah.
But what we see is there's a few markets in Europe, few countries in Europe that are really developing within the PropTech scene and how facility management or real estate management works.
Which countries do you think are the most innovative right now in real estate?
I think there's a lot happening in the UK. So we see a lot of companies getting founded there, a lot of companies entering that market that are within the space of smart buildings, PropTech, whatever we call that.
Yeah.
I think we see some development in the Nordics as well, Sweden, Norway, Denmark. So it's an interesting market to look at as well. And I think more and more we see these things happening in other countries in Europe as well. But I think the Netherlands, the UK, and the Nordics are the countries.
The front runners right now.
Yeah.
So you are like building this platform, but I can imagine that you can, or other PropTech companies can tap into your platform as well.
Yeah.
To what kind of PropTech companies are you looking for to work together to build even a better solution for those real estate managers?
Yeah, a good question. So basically, we've always said that the platform and the data that we have should be available for every company that is focusing on specific use cases within the domain.
Yeah.
So we are just focusing on how many people are where at what moment in time. And there's so many use cases that you can solve if you have that type of data. So we want to share the data with basically every type of company that's active in the space. To give you some examples, some of the companies have, for example, a focus on building a mobile application for the best employee experience possible or the best visitor experience possible. And they're very good at doing that. And to improve that experience, they want to use utilization data because that's an extra layer of information that you can share with the people in the building.
Yeah.
That helps them to find available space or meeting room
colleagues or
colleague, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So that's a great example of how you could cooperate and create a better solution together. Or some other examples is like smart cleaning, for example. If the cleaner knows which rooms are being used and which aren't, you can make a way more effective cleaning schedule, and they can skip those rooms that are not being used, and they can give extra attention to those that are being used. Just another example, or the light and climate system. You can make it more intelligent if you know how many people are there using this room now. You could make it more adaptive.
Maybe also energy savings.
Savings, definitely. Yeah. And also on the this is more the output side, but also on the input side, there's so many different data sources. We always say there's not one data source or one technology to rule all the use cases. It's always a combination of different data sources. And we plug in primarily to the Wi-Fi infrastructure, but we are not limited to Wi-Fi. We use different sensors which we can integrate in the platform as well for different use cases. And each use case requires a different approach with a different set of data sources. So And in that field, there's many vendors as well, many sensor companies out there. And we see a lot of companies still emerging and developing new sensors. So it's a very interesting field. So we are just in the middle, combining.
And working on both ends.
Exactly.
Yeah, with companies that bring more data even into your system, and with PropTech companies that use the data.
Correct.
Yeah. Cool. So now the next step, because I think it's an amazing a product that you did build. But what is like your business model?
Yeah, so the business model is actually quite easy. There's an implementation fee, and then there is basically an annual subscription, which is a price per square meter.
Okay, cool. And what is like the value that you bring to the table? Why are those real estate managers or responsibility for real estate? Why are they going to you?
Yeah. So I think there's 3 layers in which we've defined the value. That's on a portfolio level, that's on the workspace level, and that's on the employee level.
So on the portfolio level, are they selling square meters when they start working with Lone Rooftop?
So basically what they do is they decommission space. So if you look at the portfolio and, for example, they say, okay, save 10% on your portfolio, you need to understand how are the buildings currently utilized before you can make those 10% savings.
Yeah.
So that's on the portfolio level, to decommission space.
Cool.
Then the second layer is the workspace. That's about matching supply and demand. For example, one of the common things that we hear is there's a lack of meeting rooms. But when you look and try to find a meeting room, you do see that the meeting room is booked, but nobody is using that meeting room. So there's a lot of inefficiency there.
That's the towel laying effect.
Exactly.
Just book whatever you can and see if you're going to use it or not.
Exactly. And another example there is there's a meeting room that can fit 10 people, but only 2 are using it.
Okay, yeah.
And while on the other hand, there's a lack of meeting rooms, people are complaining. So why would you not choose to put a wall in between that 10 meeting room room?
And divide it into 2 or 5.
Divide it into 2.
Or
exactly.
3 or 4, yeah.
So it solves multiple problems there. So that's the second layer, the workspace, like match the supply and demand.
Yeah.
And also learn more about how your workspace strategies actually work out. And then the third one is the employee. It's about the experience, making sure that when you have a new workspace strategy, which is more towards unassigned seating, then you want to offer people information on where they can find this available seat and or where can I find an available meeting room. Solving all those type of problems actually helps them to have a better experience in the office.
Cool. So can you tell us some companies that work with you and how they react on working with Lone Rooftop? When they start working, they really need to put in a lot of time and effort to get the system running, I think. But after a year, how do they react to Lone Rooftop?
Yeah. So what we typically see is, I think the first reaction after we did an implementation, and to get back to that, is implementation. Yes, it takes some considerable time, but if you compare it to do a large sensor deployment, which usually is an alternative,
and that's way more time.
That's way more time. Yeah, and it has a higher operational cost to do that as well. So and the initial spending, sorry, but. So what you see is that once they have this type of data, they get enthusiastic because they now, what they already assumed, they now can actually base it on facts. So they can validate that what they assumed is actually true. Or sometimes they can see that what they thought was happening was not really happening. So it allows them to get some insights. And then from there on, they can create a baseline. They can say, okay, this is the utilization of my building.
Yeah.
And this is the goal that we have. We want to, put 10% more people in this building or whatever it is. And from there on, they can start making those decisions. So after a year or so, actually one of our clients was capable of decommissioning 2 buildings after a year of using this data. So
that saves a lot of money.
Saves a lot of money.
Yeah,
it does.
Saves a lot of money.
Yeah.
So then back to you again, Marcel. You started like as a marketeer, and you became an entrepreneur. Where do you find your inspiration? How do you, how do you become an entrepreneur? Because it's different. It's different to have your own business than to work for somebody else.
Yeah, that's true. I think a part that I skipped in the introduction about myself is that I used to have a company before when I was still in I think that's then college in the middelbare school.
Okay, yeah.
So it's not college,
high
it's
school.
high school indeed. Sorry. That's when I basically founded my first company together with a classmate.
Great.
And I always realized that I had ideas that I wanted to work on and see if we, could come up with a business model and make it profitable. And that was already into me when I was even a small kid. So I think it had always been there. And then deciding to first work for an employer was also because at that time, I didn't have an idea for a company and I was inexperienced and I wanted to learn more and I wanted to develop myself in certain aspects. So I think that was a very logical choice back then to still first work for an employer. But I think I've always been very entrepreneurial. Where I found my inspiration, I don't know. I think I read many stories and books about entrepreneurs that have an interesting story to tell, and I think that's very inspiring. So always looking at what are other entrepreneurs doing, and how can I learn from that? And I think it's very motivating to see if you actually apply some of those things that you learn from other entrepreneurs, and it helps you to get to the next step. I think that's something that keeps
Bring
you
your
going.
business to the next level.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
what is the next level of Lone Rooftop?
The next level.
Now it's 25 people. What are you aiming for? Like you are nearly 5 years old.
Yeah.
Another 3 years. Where are you then?
Yeah. Good question. So
what is the development that you're looking for Lone Rooftop?
Yeah. So I think primarily it is do what we do good and do it even better. And the reason I'm saying that is because we have so many ideas on how we can, develop a bigger platform with more features, etc. But also that comes with a lot of complexity, and sometimes the market is not there yet. So really focusing on what we do really good and make sure that we can become a leader in that domain. And becoming a leader, in my opinion, means being the best in what we do and being fastest. So therefore, as mentioned, we've always aimed to be highly scalable. And that's why we are now putting more focus on the Dutch market to learn even better what we can do better. To learn more about what we can do better. Yeah. But also look at other markets, such as I just mentioned, the US. We do notice we have a very healthy pipeline development in the US, and there's a lot of traction. So all of a sudden, that becomes a really interesting market to us. So if you look at where are we within 3 years from now, I think we do what we do now, but even better. And for a larger target audience, more buildings connected to the platform, more buildings decommissioned, which is also part of the larger vision. Where when we founded this company, we always said we want to do something good for the world. We want to bring something to the world. And if you look at our planet, that's basically the only piece of real estate that we have.
Yeah. So we need to be careful.
Exactly. Let's use it wisely.
Yeah.
It's the only space we got. So we always said, we believe that this type of data can help organizations to reduce the amount of buildings that they need. So the space that frees up because of that can be used by other companies. And eventually, in the larger scheme of things, this can lead to building less buildings.
Yeah.
So that's what we really aim for, have impact on the world with our data. And therefore, we want to scale our business to multiple countries, many organizations that have a lot of real estate where we can have this impact.
Cool. Well, sounds amazing. I wish you good luck the next couple of years. We're ready here to help you as much as we can. And we hope that the real estate industry is getting more and more innovative to really implement solutions that you guys have. So really looking forward to the next couple of years.
Me too.
And I hope you invite me to the party in August.
I will. All right. I will. Thank you, Wouter. It was great being here.
Thank you, Marcel.
All right.
Thank you for listening to this interview that I had with Marcel Lamers, CEO of Lone Rooftop. This was, I think, the latest interview that we will put online before our summer vacation. So I wish you all the best. Good luck during the summer, and I hope to see you back in September.